The massive crystal chamber buzzed with electric energy as the ancient message played for the third time. Ambassador Krell's four eyes narrowed as he watched the holographic display show images of a small blue planet orbiting a yellow star. The keeper's warning echoed through the room with a voice that had witnessed the rise and fall of countless civilizations. "Do not attack the humans," the message repeated. "They appear weak, but they possess something we have never seen before. When threatened, they become something else entirely. Their capacity for war and adaptation knows no limits. We have watched them for centuries. They will surprise you." Krell's scaled hand slammed against the control panel, shutting off the transmission. His purple skin flushed darker with anger. Around the circular chamber, other Zephyrian military leaders shifted uncomfortably in their floating chairs. The air recyclers hummed quietly, the only sound breaking the tense silence. "The keepers have grown soft in their old age," Krell announced, his voice carrying the authority of someone who had conquered 12 star systems. "Look at these creatures." He gestured at the display showing human cities, highways filled with primitive wheeled vehicles, and aircraft that still burned chemical fuel. They cannot even leave their own planet properly. Their fastest ships take months to reach their own moon. General Nex, Krell's second-in-command, leaned forward in his chair. "But sir, the Keepers have never been wrong before. They predicted the fall of the Mordian Republic and the collapse of the Crystal Worlds." "Times change," Krell replied coldly. "The Keepers speak of humans as if they were some kind of hidden threat. These beings fight wars with metal projectiles and explosive chemicals. Our plasma cannons can destroy their largest cities from orbit. Our shields can stop anything they throw at us." Far across the galaxy, Captain Jake Martinez stood on the bridge of the exploration ship New Horizon, staring out at the gas giant Jupiter through the main viewport. The massive planet's red spot swirled like a storm that could swallow Earth whole. Martinez was a career military officer who had volunteered for humanity's first long-range space mission. His weathered face showed the stress of 6 months in deep space. "Captain, we're picking up something strange," called Lisa Turner from the pilot's seat. Her fingers danced across the control panel as she adjusted the ship's sensors. "There's an object near Jupiter that doesn't match anything in our databases." Martinez walked over to Turner's station and looked at the screen. A small metallic object, roughly the size of a school bus, orbited Jupiter at a distance that put it just outside the planet's radiation field. It was clearly artificial, with smooth surfaces that reflected sunlight in patterns that nature never created. "Ryan, what do you make of this?" Martinez asked the ship's engineer. Ryan Bell looked up from his workstation, his young face showing excitement mixed with concern. "It's definitely not human technology, Captain. The materials look like some kind of metal alloy we've never seen before. And look at this energy signature." Bell transferred his readings to the main screen. "It's powered by something that's not nuclear, not solar, and not chemical. This thing has been here for weeks, maybe months." Amy Garcia, the communications officer, suddenly straightened in her chair. "Captain, I'm receiving a transmission from Earth. It's marked as Priority 1. "Put it through," Martinez ordered. The image of Dr. Helen Brooks appeared on the main screen. She was one of Earth's leading scientists, specializing in the search for extraterrestrial life. Her laboratory was located deep underground in Colorado, designed to be safe from any outside threats. But today, her usually calm expression showed worry. "Captain Martinez, we need you to stay exactly where you are and document everything you can about that object. We've been tracking similar probes in 7 different locations throughout our solar system. This is it, Jake. This is first contact." Back, in the Zephyrian Council chamber, the debate continued. The Empire's ruling council consisted of military leaders who had built their reputation on quick, decisive victories. They had conquered primitive worlds before, always with overwhelming force that ended resistance before it could truly begin. "The humans have something we need," declared Councillor Vox, pointing to resource charts that floated in the air before them. "Their planet contains deposits of rare minerals that would fuel our expansion for the next century. Iron, gold, platinum, and something they call oil. With these resources, we could build twice as many ships. And their population could provide useful labor," added another councillor. 7 billion beings who could work in our factories and mines." Krell stood up, his massive frame towering over the other council members. The decision is clear. We launch a demonstration attack that will show them our power. Once they see what we can do, they will surrender immediately. No species has ever continued fighting after seeing our plasma cannons in action. The vote was unanimous. Within hours, the largest Zephyrian fleet ever assembled began preparing for departure. 300 warships, each capable of destroying a human city with a single shot, gathered at the edge of Zephyrian space. On Earth, Dr. Brooks worked frantically in her laboratory, surrounded by screens showing data streams from around the world. Governments had been secretly informed of the alien presence, and emergency meetings were taking place in every major capital. The alien probes had made no hostile moves, but their very presence changed everything. The probes are clearly observing us, Brooks explained to a video conference that included world leaders. They're scanning our technology, our communications, our military capabilities. This isn't a peaceful scientific mission. Someone is gathering intelligence. President Adams appeared on one of the screens from Washington. Dr. Brooks, what are our options? Can we communicate with them? We're trying, but they're not responding to any of our attempts at contact. These probes are advanced beyond anything we can currently build. Whoever sent them has technology that's hundreds of years ahead of ours. In space, Captain Martinez and his crew continued their observations of the Jupiter probe. They had managed to get within a few hundred meters of the object, close enough to see details that both amazed and worried them. "It's beautiful," whispered Lisa Turner as she piloted the ship closer. "Look at those surface patterns. It's like someone carved designs into metal that flows like water." Ryan Bell's voice was tense as he reported his findings. "Captain, this thing is scanning us just as much as we're scanning it. Every time I run a sensor sweep, I detect return scans that are far more sophisticated than anything we can do." "Amy, any luck with communications?" Martinez asked. "Nothing, sir. I've tried every frequency and every basic mathematical sequence we know. Either they can't hear us, or they're choosing not to respond." Unknown to the humans, the probe was indeed listening. Every word, every scan, every piece of technology on the New Horizon was being analyzed and transmitted back to the Zephyrian fleet. The aliens were learning about human capabilities, human psychology, and human weaknesses. As the Zephyrian warfleet entered faster than light travel toward Earth, the ancient keeper warning played one final time in an empty chamber. The holographic image of the blue planet slowly faded as the message concluded with words that would soon prove prophetic. "You will regret attacking the humans. They will turn your empire to ashes." The first plasma beam struck the International Space Station at exactly 1432 Greenwich Mean Time. The explosion was visible from Earth as a brief, brilliant flash that lit up the daytime sky. Within seconds, emergency broadcasts began flooding every communication channel on the planet. War Master Vex stood on the bridge of his flagship Dominator, watching Earth grow larger on the main viewing screen. His fleet of 300 warships spread out in perfect formation behind him, their weapons charged and ready. The attack had begun exactly as planned. "Target the military installations first," Vex ordered his weapons officer. "Show them we can destroy their primitive defenses with ease. Once they see our power, they will surrender within hours." On Earth, sirens wailed in every major city. Colonel Pete Adams rushed through the corridors of the Pentagon, shouting orders into his communication device. Emergency protocols that had been theoretical exercises just hours before were now desperate reality. "All units, this is command. We are under attack by unknown hostile forces. Repeat, we are under attack. All military personnel report to emergency stations immediately." Dr. Helen Brooks watched the attacks from her underground laboratory, her face pale as she studied the incoming data. The alien weapons were unlike anything humanity had ever seen. They fired beams of superheated plasma that could melt through steel like it was butter. "The energy readings are incredible," she whispered to her assistant. "Each shot carries enough power to level a city block." "How many ships are there?" "Satellite data shows at least 300 vessels," came the reply. "They're targeting our military bases, communication centers, and major population areas." Thousands of miles away in space, Captain Jake Martinez and his crew aboard the New Horizon watched helplessly as their home planet came under attack. The communication channels were filled with desperate calls for help, emergency broadcasts, and the sounds of explosions. "We have to go back," Martinez said, his voice firm despite the impossible odds. "Earth is under attack. Our families, our friends, everyone we know is down there." Lisa Turner looked at him with concern. "Captain, we have one small exploration ship against an entire alien fleet. What can we possibly do?" "I don't know," Martinez replied. "But we're not running away while Earth burns." Ryan Bell was already working at his engineering station. "If we're going back, we need to be smart about it. Our ship wasn't built for combat, but maybe we can modify some systems. The mining lasers could be weaponized, and we have explosive charges for asteroid sampling." The Zephyrian attack continued for 3 hours. Military bases around the world were destroyed with precision strikes. Major cities lost power as energy plants were targeted. But something unexpected began to happen. Instead of surrendering, humans started fighting back. In Colorado, Colonel Adams coordinated the defense from a bunker deep underground. "All remaining aircraft, attack pattern Delta. Hit them with everything we have. Nuclear submarines prepare to surface and engage." The human counterattack was small but fierce. Fighter jets launched missiles at the alien ships, only to watch them bounce harmlessly off energy shields. Nuclear submarines surfaced and fired their weapons, achieving the same useless result. But the humans kept fighting. War Master Vex frowned as he watched the battle reports. "Why are they still attacking? Their weapons cannot penetrate our shields. Any logical species would have surrendered by now." His tactical officer looked up from his station. "Sir, they're using some kind of primitive chemical explosives and metal projectiles. Their technology is even more basic than we thought, but they won't stop fighting." "Then we will have to teach them a harder lesson," Vex replied coldly. The ground, something remarkable was happening. Dr. Brooks and her team were studying every piece of alien technology they could find. When a Zephyrian fighter crashed in Nevada, recovery teams were there within hours. When plasma cannon fire left traces of exotic materials, scientists collected samples. "Look at this," Brooks said excitedly as she examined a piece of alien metal. "Their hull material is incredibly advanced, but it follows the same basic physical laws as everything else. If we can understand how it works, maybe we can find weaknesses." Megan Cole, a young computer specialist, made an even more important discovery. "Dr. Brooks, I've been analyzing their communication signals. Their computer systems are completely different from ours. They use quantum processing while we use binary code, but that means they probably can't hack our systems either." This discovery proved crucial when human forces captured their first intact alien vessel. A Zephyrian scout ship had been damaged by concentrated missile fire and crash-landed in the Australian desert. The pilot survived but was quickly captured by human forces. Sergeant Tony Vega led the team that secured the crash site. His squad surrounded the alien ship with weapons ready, not sure what to expect. The Zephyrian pilot was tall and purple-skinned, with 4 eyes that showed confusion and fear. "It's hurt," reported the medic. "Whatever they are, they bleed red just like us." The captured alien and his ship were immediately transported to a secure facility where Dr. Brooks and her team began the most important research project in human history. They had 3 days to learn everything they could before the main alien fleet returned. Captain Martinez and the New Horizon reached Earth's outer atmosphere just as another wave of attacks began. But this time something was different. Human forces were using new tactics that the aliens hadn't expected. "Lisa, take us down to the surface fast," Martinez ordered. "Amy, send a message to all human ships in the area. Tell them to converge on our position." What the Zephyrians saw next confused them completely. Instead of large military formations, humans began fighting in small groups that appeared and disappeared quickly. These groups used hit-and-run tactics, striking fast and then vanishing before the aliens could respond effectively. Commander Beth Stone led one such group from her base in Texas. She had taken command when her superior officers were killed in the first attack. Her plan was simple, but effective. "We can't match their firepower," she told her soldiers, "but we can be unpredictable. They expect us to fight like they do, with organized formations and standard tactics. Instead, we're going to fight like humans. Her team used everything available as weapons. Construction equipment became improvised tanks. Civilian trucks carried explosive charges. Even crop-dusting planes were modified to drop chemical weapons that could eat through alien hull materials. The Zephyrians found themselves facing an enemy unlike any they had encountered before. When they destroyed one human position, 3 more appeared elsewhere. When they adapted to one tactic, humans switched to something completely different. War Master Vex received increasingly frustrated reports from his field commanders. "Sir, the humans are using guerrilla warfare techniques we've never encountered. They hide among their own population. They use their civilian infrastructure as weapons. Every time we think we understand their strategy, they change it." "How many casualties have we taken?" Vex asked. 17 ships damaged, 3 destroyed. It should be impossible. Their weapons are primitive. But the humans were learning. Every captured piece of alien technology was studied, copied, and improved. Dr. Brooks's team worked around the clock, reverse engineering Zephyrian plasma weapons and shield generators. What they discovered would change everything. "The aliens are more advanced than us," Brooks reported to the emergency command center. "But they're not creative. Their technology follows predictable patterns. They build things one way and never change. We can use that against them." As the second day of fighting ended, something unprecedented happened in the history of Zephyrian warfare. Human forces had not only survived the initial attack, but had begun inflicting real damage on alien forces. They had captured intact technology, taken prisoners, and proven that advanced weapons meant nothing without the will to adapt and overcome. Captain Martinez landed the New Horizon at a military base that was still operational. As he stepped out of his ship, Colonel Adams was there to meet him. "Captain, we need every ship we can get. Are you ready to fight?" Martinez looked up at the sky where alien ships still circled like predators. "Colonel, we've been ready our whole lives. We just didn't know it yet." 6 months after the first attack, Dr. Helen Brooks stood in what used to be her small laboratory. Now it was a massive underground complex that stretched for miles beneath the Colorado mountains. Hundreds of scientists and engineers worked day and night, surrounded by alien technology that had been captured, studied, and improved. "Show me the new weapon," Brooks said to her chief engineer, a former NASA technician named Carl Davis. Davis led her to a testing chamber where a strange-looking cannon sat on a metal platform. It looked like someone had taken a Zephyrian plasma weapon and rebuilt it using human engineering principles. The result was bigger, louder, and much more powerful than the original. "We call it the hybrid destroyer," Davis explained with pride. "It uses their plasma technology but with our power systems. The aliens build everything to be efficient and clean. We build things to work no matter what. This weapon can fire 3 times longer than theirs before overheating." Brooks smiled as she watched the weapon charge up for a test firing. The beam that shot out was twice as bright as any Zephyrian plasma cannon. It melted through 6 feet of solid steel like it was paper. "How many can we build?" she asked. "We're making 50 per day now. By next month, we'll have enough to equip every ship in our fleet." Far above them, Captain Jake Martinez stood on the bridge of his new ship. It had started life as a Zephyrian destroyer called the Swift Death. Now it was the human vessel Freedom, painted with Earth colors and equipped with weapons that made its original builders look like children playing with toys. "Captain, we're receiving the attack signal," reported Lieutenant Dan Foster, his new tactical officer. Foster had been a civilian mathematics teacher before the war started. Now he was one of humanity's best military strategists. "All ships, this is Martinez. Target the supply convoy and prepare to attack. Remember, we hit hard and we hit fast. Don't give them time to think." The human fleet had grown from captured alien ships and new vessels built using hybrid technology. Martinez now commanded 47 ships, each one crewed by humans who had learned to fight in space by doing it, not by reading about it in books. The Zephyrian supply convoy never had a chance. It was carrying food and replacement parts to alien forces attacking Earth. The convoy's escort ships were built for fighting other Zephyrian vessels, not for dealing with the chaos that human forces brought to every battle. Enemy ships detected, the Zephyrian convoy commander reported. They appear to be using our own technology, but the energy signatures are wrong. Their weapons are more powerful than they should be. Impossible, replied his escort captain. Human technology is primitive. They cannot improve our weapons. That was the last message the escort captain ever sent. The Freedom and her sister ships attacked from 6 different directions at once, using tactics that no military academy had ever taught. Human ships spun and rolled through space like dancers, making it impossible for the aliens to target them accurately. Lieutenant Foster watched his display screen as the battle developed. Captain, their formation is breaking apart. They're trying to retreat. Don't let them, Martinez ordered. Amy, signal all ships. Use attack pattern Chaos 7. Amy Garcia, now his communications officer on the new ship, smiled as she sent the signal. Pattern Chaos 7 was something only humans could execute. It required every ship to act independently while still working toward the same goal. No alien military mind could understand how it worked. The Zephyrian convoy was destroyed in less than 20 minutes. More importantly, the humans captured 3 ships intact and rescued alien prisoners who were beginning to question their empire's invasion of Earth. On the Zephyrian homeworld, Empress Zara read battle reports that made no sense to her. She was the supreme ruler of an empire that had conquered 12 star systems. She had never lost a major battle in her long military career. Explain to me how humans are winning battles against our forces, she demanded of War Master Vex, who had returned from Earth to report on the war's progress. Vex's purple skin had grown darker with stress over the past months. Your Majesty, the humans fight unlike any enemy we have ever faced. They take our technology and make it better. They use tactics that change every day. When we learn to counter one strategy, they invent 3 new ones. They are primitives, Zara replied angrily. They should have surrendered months ago. That is what we thought, Your Majesty. We were wrong. Back on Earth, the war had changed everything about human society. Factories that once made cars now built spacecraft. Schools taught children how to repair alien technology. Everyone had a job in the war effort, and everyone understood that losing meant the end of human civilization. Commander Beth Stone had been promoted to general and now led all ground forces on Earth. Her headquarters was built inside the ruins of New York City, surrounded by weapons that could destroy alien ships from the planet's surface. The next phase begins tomorrow, she told her staff officers. We're not just defending Earth anymore, we're taking the war to them. Ryan Bell had become humanity's chief weapons designer. His latest creation was something that gave even him nightmares. He called it the Evolution Drone, and it was unlike anything anyone had ever built before. The drones can learn from every battle, he explained to a group of military leaders. Each one shares information with all the others. When one drone learns how to defeat a new enemy weapon, they all know within seconds. They adapt faster than any living being could. The first evolution drones were launched from hidden bases around Earth. They were small, fast, and carried enough firepower to destroy ships much larger than themselves. But their real weapon was their ability to learn and change. Zephyrian Captain Morg was patrolling near Jupiter when the first drone attacked his ship. It was tiny compared to his heavy cruiser, but it moved like nothing he had ever seen. The drone seemed to know exactly where his ship would be before he decided to go there. Weapons officer, destroy that thing, Morg ordered. I'm trying, sir, but it's like fighting a ghost. Every time I lock onto it, it changes direction. And sir, it's learning our weapon patterns. My targeting system can't keep up. The drone didn't destroy Morg's ship. Instead, it studied every weapon, every defense, every tactical move the cruiser made. Then it transmitted all that information to thousands of other drones throughout the solar system. Within a week, no Zephyrian ship could survive an encounter with human drones. The small robots had learned every weakness in alien technology and could exploit them perfectly. Dr. Brooks received a priority message from intelligence. Teams who were questioning captured aliens. What they had learned changed her understanding of the entire war. The Zephyrian Empire is not as strong as we thought, reported Intelligence Officer Kate Wilson. They rule through fear and superior technology, but they've never faced an enemy that could match their technology and exceed their creativity. What does that mean for us? Brooks asked. It means we're not just winning battles, Doctor. We're proving to the entire galaxy that the Zephyrian Empire can be beaten. Their subject worlds are starting to rebel. Captain Martinez learned this firsthand when his fleet encountered a group of alien ships that weren't Zephyrian. They called themselves the Canary, and they had been slaves of the Empire for over a century. Human ships, this is Captain Jorak of the Canary Liberation Fleet. Came the message. We have heard of your victories against the Zephyrians. We request permission to fight alongside you. Martinez looked at his crew. They had gone from exploring space to commanding a rebellion that was spreading across the galaxy. Lieutenant Foster was already studying star charts, planning attacks on Zephyrian supply lines that would support the new rebellion. Permission granted, Captain Jorak, Martinez replied. Welcome to the fight for freedom. The war was no longer just about defending Earth. It had become something much larger. Humanity had awakened something in the galaxy that the Zephyrian Empire had tried to keep sleeping for centuries. The desire for freedom was spreading from world to world, and at the center of it all were the humans who refused to give up. General Stone received reports of uprisings on 17 different worlds. Each rebellion was inspired by news of human victories and supported by human weapons and tactics. The Zephyrian Empire was beginning to crack. They thought we were primitive, Stone told her officers. They were right. We were primitive. But we learned. We adapted. We became something they never expected. Engineer Bell put it more simply as he watched his evolution drones destroy another alien fleet. They made one mistake. They woke up humanity. Now they're going to learn what that really means. 2 years after the first Zephyrian attack on Earth, Admiral Jake Martinez stood on the bridge of his flagship watching an entire star system burn. The Kepler 442 system had been a major Zephyrian military base until 3 hours ago. Now, it was a field of wreckage and escape pods floating in the darkness of space. Casualties on our side? Martinez asked his tactical officer. Lieutenant Dan Foster checked his reports with satisfaction. 7 ships damaged, none destroyed. 0 human casualties. The evolution drones did most of the work before we even arrived. Martinez nodded as he watched the last Zephyrian installations explode on the nearby planet. The human war machine had become something that even frightened him sometimes. They were no longer the desperate defenders who had barely survived the first alien attack. They were predators, and the galaxy was their hunting ground. Signal the fleet, Martinez ordered. Set course for the Vega system. Intelligence reports. 3 more Zephyrian bases there. On Earth, General Lisa Turner reviewed battle reports from 17 different star systems. Her office was located in what used to be the United Nations building in New York. Now it was the headquarters for humanity's interstellar military operations. The walls were covered with star maps showing human advances across the galaxy. We're winning too fast, she told her staff. The Zephyrian Empire is collapsing faster than we expected. Their military is retreating from 6 major systems this week alone. Colonel Sam Parker, her chief intelligence officer, placed a new report on her desk. It gets better, General. We have confirmation that 4 more alien species have joined the rebellion. The Taraki, the Venlari, the Nexus Collective, and something called the Hive Mind are all fighting against Zephyrian forces. Turner studied the reports with growing amazement. How many worlds are in open rebellion now? 47 confirmed, with more joining every day. The Zephyrians are losing control of their entire empire. Dr. Helen Brooks had moved her operations to a massive space station orbiting Mars. The facility was built using captured alien technology, but designed with human improvements. It served as the research center for humanity's most advanced weapons development. Show me the new psychological warfare project, she told her team leader, Dr. Mark Johnson. Johnson led her to a communication center where technicians were broadcasting messages across the galaxy. But these weren't ordinary military communications. They were something much more dangerous to the Zephyrian Empire. We call it the Freedom Signal, Johnson explained. We broadcast the story of Earth's resistance to every world in Zephyrian space. We tell them how a primitive species defeated the Empire's best forces. We show them that the Zephyrians can be beaten. Brooks watched as technicians sent out videos of human victories, recordings of Zephyrian surrender ceremonies, and most importantly, technical information on how to build weapons that could fight alien forces. The psychological impact is incredible, Johnson continued. Zephyrian soldiers are surrendering rather than fighting. Their subject species are rising up everywhere. Some worlds are declaring independence without firing a single shot. Captain Amy Garcia had become humanity's chief diplomatic officer, leading missions to contact alien species throughout the galaxy. Her ship, the New Dawn, was equipped with universal translators and carried samples of every weapon design humanity had developed. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the Altair system, reported her communications officer. It's from a species called the Zenthari. They say they want to discuss joining our alliance. Garcia smiled as she reviewed the message. The Zenthari controlled 12 star systems and had been fighting a losing war against the Zephyrians for decades. With human weapons and tactics, they could become a major force in the rebellion. Set course for Altair, she ordered. Let's go make some new friends. On the Zephyrian homeworld, Empress Zara paced back and forth in her throne room while her advisors delivered increasingly bad news. The empire that had taken centuries to build was falling apart in just 2 years. Your Majesty, reported General Kex, we have lost contact with all forces in the Outer Rim systems. The humans and their allies control everything beyond the Rigel sector. How is this possible? Zara demanded. We had the largest military in the galaxy. We had technology that no primitive species should have been able to match. War Master Vex, who had led the original attack on Earth, stepped forward with shame written across his purple features. Your Majesty, we underestimated what humans become when they are threatened. They don't just fight back. They evolve. They become something new. Explain, Zara ordered coldly. They take our technology and make it better. They use tactics we cannot predict. They inspire other species to fight harder than those species have ever fought before. But most importantly, they never give up. Ever. The truth was even worse than Vex realized. Humanity had discovered something about warfare that the Zephyrian Empire had forgotten during centuries of easy victories. War wasn't just about having better weapons or more ships. It was about adapting faster than your enemy could respond. Ryan Bell, now Earth's chief military engineer, demonstrated this principle every day. His latest creation was called the Nightmare Generator, and it lived up to its name. The device broadcasts fear directly into Zephyrian brains, he explained to a group of military leaders. Their species is naturally afraid of chaos and unpredictability. This amplifies that fear until they cannot function in battle. The first test of the Nightmare Generator was conducted during a battle in the Procyon system. Zephyrian forces outnumbered humans 3-1, but when the device activated, alien soldiers began abandoning their posts and fleeing in panic. It's like they're seeing their worst nightmares come to life, reported the battle commander. Half their fleet is retreating without being fired upon. But humanity's most effective weapon wasn't technology. It was something that couldn't be built in a factory or programmed into a computer. It was the ability to make other species believe they could win. Commander Beth Stone led a diplomatic mission to the Centauri system, where a species called the Morphians had been slaves of the Zephyrian Empire for over 300 years. They had tried to rebel many times but had always been crushed. We can teach you to fight the way humans fight, Stone told their leaders. Not with superior numbers or better weapons, but with determination and creativity. The Morphian leader, a being that looked like a cross between a bird and a lizard, studied Stone with curious eyes. Your species has only been fighting for 2 years. How can you teach us what we have failed to learn in 3 centuries? Stone smiled and activated a holographic display showing human victories across the galaxy. Because we learned something the Zephyrians never understood. The strongest weapon in the universe isn't a plasma cannon or an energy shield. It's the refusal to accept defeat. Within 6 months, the Morphian rebellion had liberated their entire system, using tactics learned from human instructors. Similar rebellions erupted across the galaxy as species that had been conquered centuries ago suddenly remembered how to fight for freedom. Admiral Martinez received reports of these victories while his fleet prepared for the largest battle of the war. Intelligence had discovered the location of the Zephyrian Empire's main shipyard, where they built their most advanced warships. If we can destroy their shipyard, we can end their ability to replace losses, Martinez told his fleet commanders. But this won't be easy. They're defending it with everything they have left. Lieutenant Foster studied the tactical displays with the intensity that had made him humanity's best strategist. Admiral, I've identified 17 different ways we can attack, but I recommend we use all of them at the same time. All 17. Attack plans simultaneously? Martinez asked. The Zephyrians expect us to choose one strategy and stick with it. Instead, we'll use every strategy at once. Their commanders won't be able to keep up with that much chaos. The Battle of the Great Shipyard lasted for 8 hours and became the most decisive victory in human military history. Zephyrian forces, trying to respond to 17 different attack patterns simultaneously, fell into complete confusion. Their legendary military discipline broke down as commanders received contradictory orders, and tactical situations changed faster than they could process. When the battle ended, the Zephyrian Empire's ability to build new warships had been completely destroyed. More importantly, news of the victory spread across the galaxy within hours, inspiring even more rebellions. Dr. Brooks received a message that summarized the war's progress in simple terms. It came from a species called the Wanderers, who had been observing galactic events for thousands of years. The Zephyrian Empire is finished, the message stated, not because humans have better weapons, but because humans have taught the galaxy something it had forgotten. The will to be free is stronger than any empire. As Martinez prepared his fleet for the final assault on the Zephyrian homeworld, he reflected on how much humanity had changed. They had started as explorers looking at Jupiter's moons. Now they were leading a galactic revolution that was reshaping the entire known universe. Admiral, reported Amy Garcia from her diplomatic ship. We have confirmation from 48 different species. They're all ready to join the final attack. The entire galaxy wants to see the Zephyr. The final battle for the Zephyrian homeworld began at dawn on a day that would be remembered across the galaxy for the next 1,000 years. Admiral Jake Martinez stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching as the largest fleet in galactic history formed up around him. Ships from 48 different species filled the space around the alien capital world, all of them following human leadership. All fleet commanders, this is Admiral Martinez, he broadcast to the massive armada. Today we end an empire that has brought suffering to countless worlds. Today we prove that freedom is stronger than fear. On the planet below, Empress Zara watched the approaching fleet from her palace windows. The sight should have terrified her, but instead she felt only a cold acceptance. The empire her ancestors had built over centuries was about to fall to a species that had learned about space travel just 3 years ago. Your Majesty, reported her last remaining general, our planetary defenses are ready. We have enough firepower to destroy half their fleet. And then what? Zara asked quietly. They will send the other half. And if we destroy that, they will send more. The humans have taught the galaxy that we can be beaten. There is no coming back from that. General Lisa Turner led the ground assault. Forces from her command ship. Her armies were not just human anymore. Alien soldiers who had learned human tactics fought alongside Earth's warriors. Together they represented something the galaxy had never seen before. A truly united military force fighting for the same cause. All ground commanders, prepare for planetary assault, Turner ordered. Remember, we're not here to destroy their world. We're here to free it. Captain Dan Foster, now commanding his own battleship, detected the first enemy fire from the planet's surface. Massive energy cannons that could destroy entire cities fired up at the approaching fleet. But the Allied forces were ready. Evolution. Drones, engage planetary defenses, Foster ordered. Thousands of small drones, each one carrying the combat experience of every battle fought in the past 2 years, swarmed toward the planet. They moved like a silver cloud, dodging the massive energy beams while targeting the weapons that fired them. On the planet's surface, Zephyrian Defense Commander Brix watched in horror as his supposedly impregnable defenses were systematically destroyed by machines that seemed to think faster than any living being. "Sir, the human drones are learning our firing patterns faster than we can change them," reported his weapons officer. "Every time we adjust our targeting, they adapt within seconds." "How is that possible?" Brix demanded. "Each drone shares information with all the others instantly. It's like fighting a single opponent with 10,000 bodies." Dr. Helen Brooks watched the battle from her command center on Mars, coordinating the scientific aspects of the assault. Her teams had spent months studying Zephyrian technology, looking for weaknesses that could end the war quickly. "Activate the Harmony Disruptors," she ordered. The Harmony Disruptors were perhaps humanity's strangest weapon. They broadcast signals that interfered with Zephyrian brain patterns, making it impossible for them to maintain the rigid mental discipline their military required. Within minutes of activation, Zephyrian soldiers across the planet began experiencing something they had never felt before: doubt. For the first time in their lives, they questioned whether their empire was worth dying for. Captain Amy Garcia led the diplomatic phase of the assault, broadcasting surrender terms to Zephyrian forces in their own language. Her message was simple but powerful. "Soldiers of the Zephyrian Empire, you are fighting for leaders who started this war by attacking a peaceful world. You can end this by laying down your weapons. We offer you the same freedom we have given to 47 other species." The response was immediate and unexpected. Entire Zephyrian military units began surrendering without firing a shot. Some even turned their weapons on their own command centers, helping the Allied forces break through planetary defenses. Emperor Krell, the military leader who had originally dismissed the Keeper warning about humans, barricaded himself in the Imperial Palace with his most loyal followers. He had one final plan to deny victory to the humans and their allies. "If we cannot win, then no one can," Krell declared as he stood before a massive device that could destroy the entire planet. "I will activate the planetary destruction system. Better to die with honor than live as slaves to primitives." But Krell had made the same mistake that had doomed his empire from the beginning. He had underestimated human determination and creativity. Ryan Bell had designed a special infiltration team specifically for this possibility. The team was led by Sergeant Mike Torres, a former construction worker who had become one of humanity's best special operations soldiers. "The palace shields are too strong for our ships to penetrate," Torres reported to Admiral Martinez. "But they're designed to stop energy weapons and explosives. They're not designed to stop people who are willing to walk through the front door." Torres and his team did exactly that. They approached the palace and captured Zephyrian uniforms, speaking perfect alien language thanks to translation devices developed by human scientists. The guards let them pass, thinking they were reinforcements. The infiltration team reached Krell's throne room just as he was about to activate the planet killer. The brief firefight that followed lasted less than 2 minutes. When it ended, the ORA device was disabled and Krell was in human custody. Empress Zara met Admiral Martinez in the same throne room where the decision to attack Earth had been made 3 years earlier. She looked older than her years, her purple skin pale with exhaustion and defeat. "You have won," she said simply. "The Zephyrian Empire surrenders unconditionally." Martinez studied the alien ruler with a mixture of respect and sadness. "Your Majesty, we didn't want this war. We just wanted to be left alone to explore the stars in peace." "I know," Zara replied. "That is why you won. You fought for something greater than conquest. You fought for the right to exist." The formal surrender ceremony took place in the capital city, broadcast to every world in the galaxy. Representatives from all 48 allied species stood together as the Zephyrian flag was lowered for the final time. Dr. Brooks addressed the assembled crowd, her words carried across the galaxy by relay stations on 1,000 worlds. "Today marks the end of an empire built on fear and the beginning of a galaxy built on cooperation. We have proven that no single species, no matter how powerful, can stand against the united will of free peoples. But the most important moment came when a representative of the ancient keeper species emerged from the crowd. The being was older than recorded history, and its words carried the weight of eons. "We warned that humans would turn your empire to ashes," the keeper said to the defeated Zephyrian leaders. "But we did not foresee the greater truth. From those ashes, they would build something better." General Turner oversaw the transition as Zephyrian worlds were liberated and their populations given the choice of how to govern themselves. Many chose to join the new galactic alliance that humanity had proposed. Others decided to remain independent but friendly. All were given the freedom to choose. Captain Foster, now promoted to admiral, took command of the new Galactic Defense Force. Its mission was not conquest but protection, ensuring that no empire could ever again threaten the freedom of smaller worlds. "We learned something important during this war," Foster told his mixed species crew. "The strongest weapon in the universe isn't a gun or a bomb. It's the willingness to stand up for what's right, no matter what the odds." Ryan Bell returned to Earth to lead the peaceful development of the advanced technologies humanity had captured during the war. Plasma energy was used to power cities. Faster-than-light travel opened up the galaxy for exploration and trade. Medical advances discovered in alien biology helped cure diseases that had plagued humanity for centuries. But perhaps the most important change was in humanity itself. The species that had once been confined to a single planet now served as guardians and teachers for an entire galaxy. They had learned that their greatest strength was not their ability to fight, but their ability to inspire others to fight for freedom. Admiral Martinez, now in command of the entire human space fleet, stood on the observation deck of Earth's first orbital city. Through the windows he could see ships from dozens of different worlds coming and going, in peaceful trade and exploration. Amy Garcia joined him, now serving as Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Alliance. "Do you ever think about how different things could have been?" she asked. Martinez nodded as he watched a Zephyrian merchant ship dock alongside a human freighter. Former enemies were now trading partners and friends. If they had listened to the Keeper warning, none of this would have happened. But then the galaxy would still be living in fear, Garcia pointed out. Maybe this is how it was supposed to happen. Dr. Brooks published her final report on the war in a document that became required reading throughout the galaxy. Her conclusion was simple but profound. The Zephyrian Empire fell not because humans had better weapons or superior numbers, but because humans possessed something that cannot be conquered: the absolute refusal to accept defeat. When threatened with extinction, humanity evolved into something the galaxy had never seen before. They became the species that would not surrender, would not compromise, and...
Dr. Elena Vasquez wiped sweat from her forehead as she stared at the stone wall in front of her. The alien symbols carved into the rock looked familiar, but she could not figure out why. She had been digging on this dead planet for 3 weeks. Now, and every day, brought new questions. The planet had no name. It's just a number. Kepler 440c. It was a cold, empty world with no life. The hegemony had sent her team here to study the ruins of an old alien city. Alina was good at her job. She had studied alien cultures for 15 years. Ever since the kind beings of the hegemony had given humanity the chance to explore the stars. Alina remembered learning about the hegemony in school. 300 years ago, Earth was a mess. Humans fought wars over water, oil, and land. People were hungry and angry. Different worlds. They stopped the wars, gave humans clean energy, and taught them how to build spaceships. In return, humans worked for them across the galaxy as explorers, builders, and researchers. It was a fair deal, Alina thought. Humans got to see the universe, and the hegemony got willing workers. Everyone was happy. Dr. Vasquez, you need to. "See this?" called Dr. Mike Santos from deeper in the ruins. Alina put down her tools and walked through the narrow stone hallway. The walls were covered with more of those strange symbols that made her feel uneasy. She found Mike standing in a large underground room. The ceiling was high, supported by thick stone pillars. But what caught Elena's attention were the carvings on the floor. They showed star maps, mathematical equations, and building plans. The style was different from anything she had seen before. "Look at this," Mike said, pointing to a section of the floor. "These numbers, ... They're not using the standard galactic math system, but I can read them." Alina knelt down and studied the carved numbers. Mike was right. The symbols were different, but somehow she understood them too. That was impossible. If these ruins were made by an alien race, why could humans read their math so easily? "How old are these ruins?" Alina asked. Mike checked his scanner. "Carbon dating says 12,000 years, maybe older." Alina felt a chill run down her spine. 12,000 years ago, humans were just learning to farm on Earth. They had no spaceships, no advanced math, no technology. Yet here was a civilization that used human-style mathematics thousands of years before humans had invented it. "There's more," Mike said, leading her to another section of the room. "Look at these building plans. It's the way the supports are arranged, the room layouts, ... It's exactly how humans design buildings. I've seen this style in every human colony I've visited." Alina stared at the carved plans. Mike was right again. The buildings were designed the way humans thought about space and movement, not like the tall, narrow structures that most alien species preferred. These plans showed wide corridors, rooms, sized for human comfort, and doorways that were exactly the right height for people from Earth. "This doesn't make sense," Alina whispered. "Humans weren't even in space 12,000 years ago." "Maybe it's just a coincidence," Mike said, but he didn't sound convinced. Alina spent the rest of the day studying the carvings. The more she looked, the more human elements she found. The symbols for water, fire, and earth were exactly like the oldest human cave paintings. The star maps showed constellations that were named the same way humans named them, even the art. Style looked like something humans might create. That evening, Lena sat in her small research tent and tried to make sense of what she had found. She opened her computer and started writing a report for the hegemony, but halfway through she stopped. Something told her to be careful about what she wrote. Instead, she sent a private message to her old friend Dr. James Chen. He worked on a research station far from here, studying human history for the hegemony archives. If anyone could help her understand these ruins, it would be James. "James," she typed, "I found something strange. Can you check the historical records for any mention of human space travel before the hegemony contact? I know it sounds crazy, but I need to be sure." She sent the message using her personal communication device, not the official hegemony channels. Something about the ruins made her want to keep her questions private. The next morning, Elena's team continued digging. They found more rooms, more carvings, and more evidence that whoever built this place thought like humans. In one room, they discovered what looked like a library. The walls were covered with symbols that looked almost like writing, but not quite like any human language Alina knew. Dr. Maria Rodriguez, the team's language expert, studied the symbols for hours. "I can't translate it," she finally said, "but the structure is familiar. It's like reading a language you almost remember from childhood." Alina was about to respond when she heard the sound of spacecraft engines overhead. She looked out through a crack in the ceiling and saw 3 large hegemony ships landing near their camp. Oh, this was unexpected. Sights unless something important was happening. A few minutes later, Coordinator Zethkar entered the ruins. He was a tall, thin being with gray skin and large black eyes. Alina had worked with him before, and he was usually calm and professional. But today something was different. His movements were tense, and his eyes kept darting around the room. "Dr. Vasquez," he said in his careful English, "I have come to inspect your progress. The hegemony is very interested in your discoveries." Here, Alina felt her heart rate increase. She had not sent any official reports yet. How did Zethkar know they had found anything important? "Of course, Coordinator," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "We've found some interesting ruins. Would you like me to show you around?" Zethkar's eyes fixed on the carved star maps. On the floor, for just a moment, Alina saw something that looked like fear cross his face. Then his usual calm expression returned. "These ruins are dangerous," he said quickly. "They contain biological hazards that could harm your species." Must stop digging immediately and prepare all your data for classification. Lena stared at him. In 15 years of archaeological work, she had never heard of biological hazards in stone ruins that had been dead for thousands of years. What kind of hazards? That information is classified, Zethkar replied. Pack your equipment. You leave this planet tomorrow. As Zethkar walked away, Alina caught Mike's eye. He looked as confused and worried as she felt. Something was very wrong here. The hegemony was hiding something about these ruins, and Alina was determined to find out what it was. That night, she sent another message to James, along with photos of everything they had found. She had a feeling that whatever truth lay buried in these ruins, the hegemony did not want humans to discover it. Dr. James Chen sat in his small office aboard the research station Harmony, staring at the photos Alina had sent him. The symbols and the images made his hands shake. He had spent 20 years studying human history for the hegemony, and he had never seen anything like this. Yet somehow, the carvings felt familiar. Like a half-remembered dream, James worked in the Galactic Archives, a massive computer system that stored information about every known species in the galaxy. His job was to organize human historical records and make sure they matched the official hegemony timeline. It was simple work, but he enjoyed learning about humanity's past. The official story was clear. Before the hegemony arrived, humans lived only on Earth. They had basic technology, simple governments, and no space travel. The hegemony had given them everything: star travel, advanced medicine, and peace. In return, humans served as workers across the galaxy, but Elena's photos changed everything. If humans could read the writing in those ruins, and if the ruins were 12,000 years old, then the official story was wrong. Very wrong. James began searching the archives with new eyes. He started with genetic records, looking for any mention of human DNA on other planets. The search results surprised him. Human genetic markers appeared in samples from dozens of worlds. But when he looked closer, he found something strange. The dates were all wrong, according to the records. Human DNA had been found on Kepler 186b, mining world 300 light-years from Earth. The sample was dated 8,000 years ago. But humans had only been on that planet for 50 years. James checked the file again, thinking he had made a mistake. The date was correct, but someone had marked the file as data error ignore. He searched for more genetic records. On Beta Centauri 3, human DNA samples were dated 6,000 years old. On Wolf 359c, the samples were 10,000 years old. Every single file was marked as a data error. James felt his heart racing. These were not errors. Someone was hiding the truth about human history. He tried a different search, looking for any mention of advanced human technology before hegemony contact. Most files came back empty, but he found fragments. A report from a mining operation mentioned finding primitive human tools that used advanced metalworking techniques. Another file described ruins on a dead planet that showed human style architecture predating known colonization. All of these files were buried deep in the archives, marked as low priority or data errors. James realized he needed help. He sent a coded message to his friend, Dr. Sarah Kim, who worked in the genetic research division. Sarah was smart and careful, and she'd always been curious about inconsistencies in human records. Sarah, he wrote, I need you to run a quiet search on human genetic distribution across the galaxy. Look for any samples that predate official colonization. Be careful who you ask. While he waited for Sarah's reply, James continued digging through the archives. He found shipping records that mentioned Terran-manufactured goods being moved between systems. 200 years before humans were supposed to have that technology. He found military reports describing unknown human settlements and sectors that humans had never officially visited. The more he searched, the clearer the pattern became. Someone had gone through the galactic archives and marked anything about ancient human civilization as fake or unimportant. But they had not deleted everything. Small pieces remained, scattered through millions of files. Meanwhile, on Kepler 440c, Alina refused to stop digging. Coordinator Zethkar had left the planet, but he had stationed 2 hegemony guards to watch her team. Lena told the guards she was just cleaning up the site before leaving. In reality, she was working faster than ever. Deep in the ruins, Alina's team found something amazing. Behind a collapsed wall, they discovered a room filled with crystal devices. The crystals were dark and cold, but Mike's scanners showed they contained massive amounts of stored information. "These are data storage units," Mike whispered. "But the technology is way beyond anything humans use today." Alina carefully touched one of the crystals, smooth and warm, despite feeling cold. As her fingers made contact, the crystal began to glow with a soft blue light. Suddenly, symbols appeared in the air above the crystal, floating like holograms. "Can you read this?" Lena asked Maria. Maria stared at the floating symbols. It's like the writing on the walls, but clearer. I think it's instructions. It's like a manual for using these crystals." Elena felt a strange certainty growing in her mind. Without fully understanding why, she pressed her hand flat against the crystal's surface. The room filled with blue light, and suddenly Elena could see everything. The holographic images showed star maps, but not current ones. These maps showed the galaxy as it was thousands of years ago. Dozens of systems were marked with a symbol that looked like the human flag, but older and more complex. Trade routes connected human worlds across vast distances. Military installations protected human colonies on the edges of known space. "This is impossible," Mike breathed. "These maps show humans controlling half the galaxy." But the images continued. Lena watched in horror as the maps changed. Human settlements began disappearing from the star charts. Red symbols, marked with hegemony insignia, replaced the human flags. One by one, entire human worlds vanished from the records. The crystal showed Alina something else. Massive ships attacking human colonies. The ships belonged to the hegemony species she knew well. Coordinator Zethkar's people, the tall beings called Vorthok, led the attacks. Other hegemony species supported them, the insect-like Krell and the energy beings called ET-Als. Alina watched the destruction of world after world. Cities burned, ships exploded in space. Millions of humans died fighting against impossible odds. The final images showed the survivors, small groups of humans hiding on distant planets, or trapped on Earth with their memories changed. "They lied to us," Alina whispered. "The hegemony didn't save humanity. They destroyed us." Back on Harmony Station, James received Sarah's reply. Her message was short and frightening. "Meet me in Storage Bay 7. Come alone. Bring everything. You've found we're not the only ones asking questions."
Ow.
James gathered his way to the storage bay. Sarah was waiting for him, along with 2 other humans he recognized. Commander Torres from the Defense Corps, an engineer. Park from the construction division. "James," Sarah said quietly, "we've all found pieces of the same puzzle. Human civilization didn't start 300 years ago. We had an empire that lasted thousands of years, and the hegemony destroyed it." Commander Torres stepped forward. "I've been reviewing military records. Our weapons, our ships, our tactics, they're all designed to be weak. The hegemony has been keeping us from becoming strong again." Engineer Park nodded. "I've been working on hegemony construction projects for 10 years, but now I realize what I've really been doing. I've been tearing down the last pieces of human technology hidden in their systems." James felt the weight of the truth settling on his shoulders. "What do we do now?" Sarah looked around the group. "We find others. We share what we know. We figure out how to tell the rest of humanity that everything they believe about their history is a lie." As they talked in the storage bay, none of them noticed the small listening device hidden among the cargo containers. Coordinator Zethkar was already making plans to deal with the humans, who were asking too many questions. But across the galaxy, on dozens of human worlds, other people were beginning to remember. Workers found strange artifacts in their construction sites. Scientists discovered genetic evidence that didn't match the official timeline. Soldiers noticed their equipment was deliberately outdated. The truth about humanity's past was starting to surface, and once it did, nothing would ever be the same. Captain Marcus Webb guided his cargo ship through the asteroid field near Vega Station. He had flown this route hundreds of times, carrying supplies between human colonies for the hegemony. It was boring work, but it paid well and kept him in space. Today felt different. 3 days ago, he had received a coded message from Dr. Chen containing files that changed everything Marcus thought he knew about humanity. The files showed that humans once ruled many star systems. They had built great cities and powerful ships. The hegemony had destroyed it all and then lied about it for centuries. Marcus looked at his navigation screen, noticed something he had never seen before. The route took him past several large objects that his computer labeled as navigation beacons. But according to Chen's files, these were not beacons at all. They were the remains of ancient human defense stations. Marcus changed course to get a closer look at one of the objects. It was huge, almost a kilometer long, and made of a metal that looked different from modern hegemony construction. Strange symbols covered its surface. As his ship got closer, Marcus felt something he had never experienced before. The symbols seemed familiar, like words he should be able to read. His ship's computer started receiving signals from the object. The signals were in an old human language that Marcus somehow understood. The defense station was still working after thousands of years, waiting for human ships to come home. Marcus spent 2 hours studying the station. He downloaded technical plans, weapon specifications, and construction guides. The technology was far beyond anything humans use today. These were the ships and weapons of a civilization that could fight as equals with any species in the galaxy. When Marcus finally returned to his regular route, he sent messages to other human cargo pilots. He used careful language, but his meaning was clear. There were things in space that humans needed to see. Meanwhile, on the industrial world of New Pittsburgh, engineer Lisa Park was having her own awakening. Lisa worked for the Hegemony Construction Authority, building and maintaining the systems that kept their space stations running. She was good at her job and took pride in keeping complex machinery working perfectly. But after reading Chen's files, Lisa began to notice patterns in her work assignments. Every few months, she was sent to remove obsolete equipment from hegemony facilities. The equipment was always old, always made of strange metals, and always used design principles that seemed familiar to Lisa. Today, Lisa was working in the lower levels of Titan Base, removing what her supervisor called primitive backup systems. But as Lisa studied the equipment, she realized it was not primitive at all. The power systems were more efficient than anything the hegemony currently used. The computer interfaces were designed for human hands and human thinking patterns. Lisa carefully documented everything before removing it. She took detailed photos, copied computer files, and even kept small pieces of the advanced materials. She was not destroying human technology anymore. She was saving it. Lisa sent her findings to a growing network of humans who were sharing information across the galaxy. The network had started with just Chen, Alina, Torres, and a few others. Now it included dozens of humans in different jobs on different worlds. On the mining station Asteroid Home, human supervisor Jack Morrison discovered that his crew had been extracting rare metals for 20 years without knowing what they were really used for. According to Chen's network, these metals were the key components for building advanced human starships. Jack quietly began setting aside extra materials during each mining operation. Dr. Amy Walsh, working in a hegemony research lab, found blueprints for human weapons hidden in old computer files.
Ow.
The weapons were powerful enough to destroy hegemony warships. Amy made copies of everything and started looking for ways to build the weapons in secret. Across human space, people began to wake up to the truth. The more they learned, the angrier they became. Their entire species had been robbed of their heritage and turned into servants for the beings who had murdered their ancestors. Elena's team, still hiding on Kepler 440C, made the most important discovery yet. Deep in the ruins, they found a complete weapons factory. The crystal storage devices contained detailed instructions for building everything from personal weapons to massive space battleships. Alina worked with Mike and Maria to understand the technology. The factory could produce weapons using the same rare metals that Jack Morrison was mining. The power systems could be built using the designs that Lisa Park was supposed to destroy. Everything humanity needed to fight back was hidden in these ancient ruins. But the hegemony was starting to notice the unusual human activity. Coordinator Zethkar received reports about humans asking strange questions, visiting restricted areas, and communicating more than usual. He decided to take action. Zethkar activated something the humans did not know existed: behavioral adjustment protocols. These were mind control systems built into every human colony. The hegemony had planned to use them if humans ever became difficult to control. The protocols sent out waves of mental energy designed to make humans passive and obedient. On most human worlds, the systems worked perfectly. Humans stopped asking questions and returned to their regular work. But something went wrong on several worlds. Instead of becoming passive, many humans experienced something unexpected. The mental energy waves seemed to unlock memories that had been hidden for generations. People began remembering stories their grandparents had told them about the old days. They remembered dreams of flying among the stars in great ships. On New Geneva Colony, the protocols had the opposite effect entirely. Instead of making humans obedient, they triggered a mass awakening. Thousands of humans suddenly remembered fragments of their species' true history. They remembered being explorers, builders, and warriors. They remembered being free. Commander Torres received emergency messages from military units across human space. Some soldiers had become strangely passive after the protocols activated, but others had become more alert and aggressive than ever. Before, they were asking questions about their weapons, their training, and why they were not allowed to learn advanced tactics. Torres realized what was happening. The hegemony's mind control had backfired. Instead of suppressing human nature, it had awakened something that had been sleeping for centuries. Alina felt the mental waves hit the ruins on KEPLER for 4 to see. But instead of making her passive, the energy seemed to connect her mind directly to the crystal storage systems. Suddenly, she could read the ancient human writing as easily as her native language. She could understand the technical specifications as if she had built the machines herself. More importantly, Alina could feel something stirring in her mind. It was the genetic memory of her species, passed down through generations even when their conscious minds forgot. She remembered what it felt like to be human in the days when humans ruled the stars. Alina sent an urgent message to Chun's network. The hegemony just made a terrible mistake. They tried to control us, but they woke us up instead. It's time to stop hiding. It's time to remember who we really are. Across the galaxy, humans began to stir. In mining stations and research labs, on cargo ships and military bases, people started to remember. They remembered being proud. They remembered being strong. They remembered being free. The hegemony had ruled through lies and manipulation for 300 years. But lies could not stand against awakened truth. Humanity was finally waking up. Chen looked at the messages flooding in from across human. Space engineers were building weapons. Miners were stockpiling materials. Soldiers were preparing for war. The underground network was becoming an army. The time for hiding was ending. Soon it would be time for humanity to roar. The alarms on New Geneva Colony started screaming at dawn. Colonel Sarah Torres stood in the command center, watching hegemony warships descend from orbit. Coordinator Zethkar's voice echoed through the communication systems, calm but threatening. "Citizens of New Geneva," he announced, "for your safety and protection, you will be relocated to secure facilities. Please gather at the designated assembly points. Resistance will not be tolerated." Torres knew what this really meant. The hegemony was going to remove the entire human population before they could spread their awakened memories to other worlds. 50,000 men, women, and children would disappear, just like their ancestors had thousands of years ago. But this time, humanity was ready. Torres activated the hidden communication network that Alina and Chen had built. "All units, this is command. Operation Freedom starts now." Protect the civilians. Fight for your species. Across New Geneva, humans who had been pretending to be loyal workers suddenly revealed themselves as soldiers. Jack Morrison and his mining crew emerged from the underground tunnels carrying weapons built from ancient human designs. Lisa Park activated the defense systems she had secretly installed in the colony's power grid. Amy Walsh's research team began jamming hegemony communications with technology the aliens thought was impossible for humans to possess. The first hegemony shuttle landed in the main square, expecting to find frightened, obedient humans waiting for transport. Instead, they faced Captain Marcus Webb and 200 colonists armed with weapons that could punch through hegemony armor like paper. The battle lasted only minutes. The hegemony soldiers, used to dealing with primitive human equipment, were completely unprepared for weapons based on ancient Terran military technology. Their energy shields failed. Their armor melted. Their confidence shattered. Webb stood over the wreckage of the shuttle and activated his communicator, New Geneva, to all human colonies. The hegemony is not invincible. We just proved it. Fight back. The message spread across human space faster than the hegemony could stop it. Mining stations, cargo ships, and research facilities, humans heard that their people had won a real battle against their oppressors. The fear that had kept humanity obedient for 3 centuries began to crack. Meanwhile, Lena's team worked frantically in the ruins on Kepler-442, so the ancient weapons factory was producing its first new equipment in thousands of years. Machines seemed to recognize human DNA and responded to Elena's commands as if she were their original creator. "How many ships can we build?" Elena asked Mike as he studied the factory specifications. "According to these plans, we can produce a full battle fleet in 6 months," Mike replied. "But Elena, look at these weapon designs. These ships could destroy anything the hegemony has." Elena smiled grimly. "And we better get started." But the hegemony was not going to let humanity escape again. Coordinator Zethkar called an emergency meeting of the Hegemony High Council. Representatives from all the major alien species gathered to discuss the human problem. "The humans are remembering," Zethkar told the council. "They are building weapons and organizing resistance. If we do not act quickly, we will face the same threat our ancestors faced 12,000 years ago." The Krell representative, a massive insect-like being, clicked its mandibles nervously. The old records speak of human, tactical brilliance. They fought with a ferocity that shocked the galaxy, which is why we must crush them now, added the ethereal representative, its energy form flickering with anxiety. Before they become too strong, the council voted unanimously for immediate action. Every human colony would be pacified using maximum force. No survivors would be taken. Humanity would finally be erased from the galaxy. But Captain Webb's victory at New Geneva had done more than just win a single battle. It had awakened something in humans across the galaxy. On the cargo ship routes, pilots began attacking hegemony supply convoys. In the research stations, scientists started building bombs. In the military bases, human soldiers turned their weapons. Against their alien commanders, Commander Torres received reports from across human space. The uprising was spreading faster than anyone had expected. Humans who had been loyal servants for their entire lives were suddenly fighting with the skill and determination of born warriors. On Titan Base, Lisa Park led a team of engineers in capturing the entire orbital facility. They used the base's own construction equipment to start building human warships. The first ship, built from plans Alina had discovered, was ready for testing within a week. Dr. Chen, still hiding aboard. Harmony Station managed to break into the main hegemony computer systems. What he found there horrified him. The aliens had detailed records of their ancestors' war against humanity. They knew exactly how dangerous humans could be, and they fought for their freedom. Chen also discovered something else: the locations of other human populations that had survived the ancient genocide, hidden colonies scattered across the galaxy, small groups that had escaped the hegemony's attention for thousands of years. These survivors had maintained their technology and their independence. Chen sent coded messages to these hidden colonies, telling them about the awakening happening across human space. The responses came quickly. The hidden humans were ready to join the fight. They had been waiting for this moment for centuries. The first major space battle happened, near Wolf 359. A hegemony battle fleet moved to attack a human mining operation that had declared independence. They expected to face a few cargo ships and construction vehicles. Instead, they found Captain Webb commanding a small fleet of ships built from ancient human designs. The battle was short and decisive. Human tactics, weapons, and determination overwhelmed the hegemony forces completely. 3 alien cruisers were destroyed, and the rest fled in panic. News of the victory spread across the galaxy. Other alien species, long oppressed by the hegemony, began to ask questions. If humans could defeat the mighty hegemony fleet, perhaps freedom was possible for everyone. On the research world of Alpha Centauri, Dr. Amy Walsh made contact with the Zentari, a peaceful species that had been forced to serve the hegemony for 2,000 years. The Zentari had always been excellent engineers, but the hegemony had forbidden them from building advanced technology. "We will help you," the Zentari leader told Walsh. "The hegemony destroyed our independence just as they destroyed yours. Together, we can build ships that will make them tremble." Alina emerged from the ruins carrying the most important discovery yet: complete plans for the ancient human capital ships that had once ruled the galaxy. These were not just warships, but mobile cities that could carry entire populations between the stars. These ships, humanity could evacuate threatened colonies and establish new homes beyond hegemony reach. But Alina had found something even more important than ship designs. Deep in the crystal storage systems, she had discovered the location of Terra Prime, the lost capital world of the ancient human empire. Terra Prime had not been destroyed in the ancient war. It had been hidden, protected by technology the hegemony could not break. Alina sent the coordinates to Torres, Chen, and the growing human resistance network. "Terra Prime still exists," her message said. "Our true home is waiting for us to come back." Torres looked at the star charts Alina had provided. Terra Prime was far from any current hegemony territory, hidden in a region of space marked as uninhabitable on all official maps. It would take months to reach it, but if Alina was right, they would find not just a planet, but the technological and cultural heart of human civilization. The rebellion was no longer just about fighting the hegemony. It was about going home. As reports came in from battles across the galaxy, Torres realized that humanity was not just winning individual fights. They were winning the war. The hegemony's greatest weapon had always been the lie that humans were weak and needed protection. But that lie was crumbling with every human victory. The chains that had bound humanity for 3 centuries were finally breaking. And when they shattered completely, the galaxy would remember why humans had once been the most feared warriors among the stars. Zethkar stared at the battle reports coming in from across hegemony space. Human forces were winning everywhere. Worse, other species were joining them. The careful control the hegemony had maintained for millennia was collapsing. For the first time in his life, Coordinator Zethkar felt genuine fear. The humans were no longer servants pretending to be grateful. They were what they had always been underneath, a species that refused to kneel to anyone. The war for galactic freedom had begun, and humanity was leading the charge. Alina stood on the bridge of the starship Terra's Hope, watching the ancient capital world grow larger on the main screen. After 6 months of fighting across the galaxy, humanity had finally come home to Terra Prime. The planet looked exactly like the images stored in the crystal archives: blue oceans, green continents, and cities that sparkled like jewels in the sunlight. But Terra Prime was not empty. As Elena's fleet approached, massive defense stations powered up around the planet. Ancient human ships, sleek and deadly, rose from hidden bases to meet them. For a moment, Alina feared they would have to fight their own people. Then a voice came over the communication system, speaking in the old human language that Alina now understood perfectly. "Welcome home, children of Terra. We have been waiting for you to return." Alina felt tears running down her face as she responded. "Is Dr. Elena Vasquez of the Human Liberation Fleet. We have come to reclaim our heritage." "We know who you are, Elena Vasquez," the voice replied. Your name is written in our histories as the one who would awaken our scattered people. Come down to the surface. The Council of Terra Prime is waiting to meet you." The shuttle carrying Alina, Commander Torres, Dr. Chen, and Captain Webb descended through Terra Prime's atmosphere. Below them, they could see cities that had survived for thousands of years, powered by technology the rest of the galaxy had forgotten. Parks and forests covered vast areas between the urban centers. This was what a human world looked like when humans were free to build it the way they wanted. The shuttle landed in front of a building that was clearly the planetary capital. Thousands of humans waited to greet them, but these were not the scattered survivors Alina had expected. These people looked healthy, proud, and strong. They wore clothing that combined practical function with artistic beauty. Their eyes held the confidence of a people who had never been slaves. An elderly woman stepped forward from the crowd. Despite her age, she moved with the grace of someone who had lived her entire life in freedom. "I am Counselor Margaret Stone, Speaker for Terra Prime. Welcome home, warriors of humanity." Alina looked around at the faces in the crowd. "How many of you survived here?" 2 billion, Counselor Stone replied. "When our ancestors realized the hegemony could not be defeated with the technology of that time, they hid our capital and waited. We have spent 12,000 years preparing for this day." Torres stepped forward. "What kind of preparation?" Counselor Stone smiled. "Come, let us show you what humanity can build when we are free to reach our full potential." The tour of Terra Prime amazed the visitors from the outer colonies. The cities were powered by clean energy that seemed to come from the planet itself. Transportation systems moved people and goods instantly across vast distances. Medical facilities could heal injuries that would be fatal anywhere else in the galaxy. Educational centers taught children to think, create, explore with unlimited curiosity. But most impressive were the shipyards. Alina stared at the massive construction facilities that stretched 4 kilometers underground. Hundreds of starships were being built, each one larger and more advanced than anything the hegemony possessed. "We have been building this fleet for 1,000 years, Counselor," Stone explained. "Every ship is designed to carry families, not just soldiers. When we reclaim the galaxy, we will do it not as conquerors, but as liberators, bringing homes for everyone who wants to be free." Dr. Chen studied the technical specifications displayed on screens throughout the shipyards. "These ships are incredible. How did you advance so far beyond current galactic technology?" "We never stopped being human," Counselor Stone answered. "The hegemony tried to make your people forget that humans are natural explorers, inventors, and builders. They wanted you to think small, to accept limits. We never accepted any limits." Over the following weeks, Alina and her team learned the full scope of Terra Prime's preparations. The hidden human colonies had not just survived, they had thrived. They had developed technology that could travel between stars instantly. They had created weapons that could destroy entire fleets without harming the planets they defended. Most importantly, they had maintained the human spirit of exploration and freedom. But Terra Prime had also been watching the galaxy, waiting for the right moment to act. They had seen other species suffer under hegemony control. They had planned not just to free humanity, but to free everyone. "The Zentari taught us patience," Counselor Stone told Alina as they walked through the Capitol gardens. "The Altarians showed us how to hide our technology. The vegan crystalline beings gave us new ways to store information.
Oh.
Every species the hegemony oppressed helped us prepare for liberation." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the war was turning decisively in humanity's favor. Captain Webb led the combined human fleets in a series of victories that shattered hegemony military power. The aliens who had seemed so mighty and advanced were no match for humans fighting with their full technology and tactical knowledge restored. On the industrial world of Hegemony Prime, Coordinator Zethkar watched his empire crumble. Ports came in hourly of worlds, declaring independence, species joining the human alliance, and hegemony forces surrendering rather than face human weapons in battle. "How did we lose?" he asked his advisors. "We had them under control for 300 years. We made the mistake our ancestors warned us about, replied his military commander. "We let humans live. Should have destroyed them completely when we had the chance. But it was too late for regrets." The liberation fleets from Terra Prime had arrived in the core systems, bringing not just military power, but hope. Humans came, not as conquerors seeking revenge, but as liberators offering freedom to all. Elena found herself standing before the rebuilt Terran Senate, now meeting in the ancient chamber that had been restored to its original glory. Representatives from dozens of species sat alongside human senators from worlds across the galaxy. For the first time in millennia, the galaxy had a government based on freedom and cooperation, rather than fear and control. Admiral Torres, now commanding the United Galactic Liberation Forces, delivered her final report. The hegemony military has surrendered. Their core worlds have accepted the new galactic charter, guaranteeing freedom and self-determination for all species. The age of oppression is over. Dr. Chen stood to present his historical research. "I have established the Galactic Truth Commission. Every species will have access to their real history. No one will ever again have their past stolen from them." Elena was offered the position of president of the new Galactic Federation, but she declined. She had found her calling in a different role, teacher and explorer. She would travel to every world that wanted to learn, helping species rediscover their own potential and build their own versions of freedom. As Elena prepared to leave Terra Prime on her first mission, Counselor Stone gave her a final gift, a crystal containing the complete history of human civilization. "From the first settlements to the current day, this is for you to carry to the stars," the counselor said. "Not as a weapon or a tool of control, but as a reminder. This is what any species can become when they refuse to accept chains." Elena looked out at the stars from her ship's observation deck. The galaxy was vast and full of possibilities. Humanity had remembered who they were: explorers, builders, teachers, and guardians of freedom. They had broken the chains that bound not just themselves, but countless other species. The hegemony had tried to make humans small, weak, and grateful for scraps of freedom. Instead, they had awakened a species that naturally thought big, fought hard, and refused to kneel. Captain Webb approached Elena as she stood watching the stars. "Where to first, Doctor?" Elena smiled as she thought about all the worlds waiting to learn what freedom could look like. "Everywhere, Captain. There's a whole galaxy out there that needs to remember how to dream." The ship turned toward deep space, carrying humanity's greatest gifts, the knowledge that freedom was possible, the technology to defend it, and the unbreakable human spirit that refused to accept any other way of life. Behind them, Terra Prime continued its work of building ships, training teachers, and preparing for a future where